It's a tricky one, this, isn't it? Let's have a look at it, because it is a tricky one. Has anyone identified a dangling modifier or present? Or what do you reckon it is? Could you read it out, just so I know?
Although not actually at school.
Okay. Now that's what I was worrying about, that phrase as well. You can see I've made a change to it. There's another one of those things in the text actually. That's a clearer example of one. That's good, the first one. Has anyone got another one? Any idea?
Is it the shared?
Yeah.
With one of my classes, yeah.
Okay, so let's just have a look at these phrases. Now, the although in the first one makes me a bit reluctant to call it the dangling modifier. If you look at the examples of these things in your grammar book, you won't find one with an although at the beginning, but I think it's the same issue. The second one is where you've got that kind of phrase, shared with one of my closest friends. Actually, Natalie, you've got a modifier in one of these dangling or hanging ones in your sentence coming up as well. It's something like being one of the something and something and somethings. And then it carries on. These are good phrases. The only problem is that sometimes, because the phrase itself doesn't tell you exactly what's being referred to, you're waiting for the next part of the sentence to find out. Because of that, it can actually make the thing slide away. Do you remember the sentence that we looked at with this? Does anyone remember the? Do you remember? That was it. It was wearing nothing but his underpants. She watched him jump into the river. And you think, well, who's wearing underpants? We know exactly what's being intended, but the grammar is actually ambiguous. So if we didn't know what was being intended, we could, be confused, but we could get the wrong idea. So I've changed this. Not actually at school, changed to not, although not a memory of being, so, and that includes the thing that is being referred to. Alright, then there's one other change then in this to talk about. What's the relative clause? You want to get a relative clause? Do you retract that?
Is it not that?
Where I can't see that. Could you read out a little bit of the phrase? So
one of my favourite memories from those days is that of my 60s.
That's the same as the pronoun in the last example, isn't it? I don't think I've mentioned that in this. It's something else. It's to do with the changes in the sentence. It's to do with the changes I've made. It's got the which. All right. We'll have a look at this. The idea is this, the modifier there, the dangling modifier, shared with one of my best friends. What's the dangling? Because it's what's being shared. What's being shared? Well, look, we're waiting to find out what's being shared. There could be a bit of confusion here, perhaps, well, syntactically, grammatically, because, look, at the first sentence says, although not actually, let's say, although not a memory of being at school, one of my favourite memories, shared with one of my closest friends. What was shared with one of my closest friends? Is it a memory shared with one of my closest friends? Obviously not. But what's shared with one of the closest? Well, to avoid this, just a bit of a rewriting. So you've got that as a relative clause tacked on to the last part. Although not a memory of being at school, one of my favourite memories from those days is that of my 16th birthday party, which I shared with one of my closest friends. To mark her 15th rather. Why have I put this in parentheses? What do you reckon?
Explaining what's being shared.
Why do we need? Do we need these? Do you want these? It's your sentence, isn't it?
Is it because you really, it's not a sentence at all, and if you did it in a sort of another common way, you'd just go on each your own?
Yeah, I think that's it, yeah. I think that's it because I can't remember. But if you're looking at the sentence, there's a lot of information there. So the punctuation is being given a lot of work to do. So perhaps brackets are visually easier than, and it also gives some indication that it's just an added thought, you know, makes it that kind of thing. Okay.
So is that whole sentence out of which is shared, blah blah blah? Is that's relative clause or just which?
The which is the relative. Do you know what it's called? Which is called a relative fancy term for it. Relative. It's a relative pronoun. So it's a relative pronoun. It's not like it or there or those or whose. It's whose is a relative pronoun. It's not like it, her, him. But it changes to which, who, that is something you can use generally. Whose. And it's the whole phrase here, the whole clause, which I shared with one of my closest friends to mark her 15th rather than 16th birthday, is the relative clause. Okay. Good. Nobody's asking which one is right. That's good.
Second.
No. But the idea is that we can leave that question as a question we can work out for ourselves, decide for ourselves by preference or grammar once we've described what's going on. Do you have a preference? You can be honest
The
with me.
second one, but I would get rid of the brackets. It's just
I like the brackets.
ridiculous.
No.
I cared at the time, but the reason.
Yeah. Okay, just two terms in the next one, clause and adverbial. Remember, first of all, because I think what you've been doing is looking at the grammatical terms and then looking for them in the sentences. Don't do that. Start by just seeing what's different in the sentences and then ask yourself, how do the grammatical terms apply to the differences?
You should take them out because they're too tempting to look at.
I know, I was going to do that actually. But it got, the slideshow started to get a bit complicated in the handout.
This one has been. So basically, it's the adverbial is the information. The adverbial is here. So the adverbial is 7 years. So they're back to front.
Do you want to comment on So you've got that underlying, right? What kind of word is that? What kind of word? How does that being used in this sense? It's not, in this case, it's not pronoun, it's not a relative pronoun.
So that is 7 years, 7 years.
If you want a fancy name for it, it's called negative conversion. It's negative it's negative is little. Sometimes
Like,
they
so the
make
clause
it
was
very
separate.
like sense.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
never before.
Yeah. But then also, what have we still
The hanging thing is worth paying attention to. That goes, yeah. Oh, that's a good use of it, yeah. Make the dangling modifier work, yeah. Okay, let's see if we can. First of all, let's do it by the procedure here. What's been changed? Can you do that? So we've got that. So let's say, what kind of word is that? It can be. And when I say it can be, it means not in this case. Sorry.
Flat pronoun.
It's not pronoun.
Relative.
It's not relative pronoun. No.
Preposition.
It's not preposition. We've got 5 more. It's not a verb. It's a conjunction. Fantastic. Now, what does a conjunction do? And what does it join? What's joined in this case?
What you know at homework.
Right, so we've got this. If we look at this, little did I know, little did I know. And then we've got that, and then this. I would have to do homework 7 years later for the Russian grammar course. Now that's a separate, could be a separate sentence, couldn't it? This is being used to join it. What do you reckon? With or without? I mean, what do you reckon? You got a preference? For the top, without it. Yeah. You know about this. In lots of cases, you can take that out when it's being used as a conjunction. Think about sentences like, "I believe today is Monday." I believe that today is Monday. He said today is Monday. He said that today is Monday. There are lots of sentences like that with reporting what somebody said or thought. You can take that out of it. There's a bit like this in this case. Well, what's the other change then? What's the other one? What can you use the term adverbial to describe the other change? I heard people describing it. 7 years later. So you've got that. You can see it's changed position in the sentence. So what? You can do it in any case, and it might sound better to you, or it might not. You can do it. I think.
Can you say, little did I know that 7 years later I would have to do homework?
What do you reckon? You tell me. Wow. You know as much as I do, if you can say it. What do you reckon? Can you say it? Can you say it? Little did I know that 7 years later I would have gone, yeah, sure.
Okay. Why did you change the word?
Why indeed? Well, I mean, the point of the changes, the point of changing things generally is what? I mean, it's to make the sentence clearer, to make it flow in the text, to put emphasis in the right place. Well, all sorts of reasons you want to change it. And when you're making these changes, very often you do it intuitively without thinking that you're doing it. I think the problem is, if you have this, if you don't have this, good for you. I have it all the time when I'm writing. It's when you block and something just doesn't sound right, doesn't feel right, you want to change it, you can't think of how to put it. Then it's very good to be able to break the sentence down into its parts. Look at this, how the sentence is being put together, and think, well, how could I use this in another way? How can I change the order of it? How can I rephrase it? So that's the point, and that's why it's not about mistakes, but just about preferences for a lot of cases. Okay. Alright, next one, let's see. We've got a lot here, non-restrictive relative clause, restrictive relative clause, conjunction adverbial. First, see the changes, and then see if you can find terms.
treatment.